others accused him of lying. Social media has become a war. Every fresh post fuels the flames of public opinion. Meanwhile, Camron's legal team seized onto Slit's evidence. Attorney Marcus Reed responded in a furious voice, "We have absolutely no evidence linking Mr. Carter to all we have seen is rumor and speculation at best." He refers to a stack of studio timestamps, indicating that Camron was recording vocals for his new album at the specific hours in issue. "We have production, engineering, and timestamp files." Cam nodded, satisfaction running over his face. The courtroom hummed. Some jurors spoke among themselves, while others scrolled quickly. Later that day, Jules Santana slipped into court in a hooded jacket that obscured his image. As he took the stand, the prosecution questioned him about his loyalties. "Santana, have you ever seen Camron engage in illicit activities?" Jules shifted uncomfortably after a long quiet. He said, "I am involved in the music and art worlds, but never with anything unsavory. We grew up together, and he has always been more interested in culture than criminals." Fans outside yelled Jules' name as flashbolts burst, capturing every moment of Jules' defense. Lindsay Cole, a private investigator for the defense, revealed a twist. She had discovered surveillance footage from a luxury automobile dealership where Camron had met with the St. John's officer weeks before. The prosecution gasped as she showed the film of Camron and the lieutenant standing side by side, voices low, exchanging what an envelope. Lindsay's tone was cool as she said, "Further investigation reveals that the parcel contained promotional brochures for an upcoming philanthropic event, not cash or contraband." She pulled out a legitimate flyer with charity branding, and the prosecution sneered, but doubt had been restored. Meanwhile, deep within the Fez center across the street, Special Agent Rachel Furrow reviewed a map of phone calls. She touched a spot between Camron's phone and a well-known Jones Associates device that had pins within seconds of each other, kilometers away. "We can't ignore this," she said to her companion Mark. "If that wasn't intended," Mark scowled. "Phones can be tricked or swapped. I need indisputable proof tying the device to Cam." Rachel nodded with face. The investigation had become a story of fact and fiction. Camron's grandmother performed a simple prayer brownstone. Friends and relatives, candles twinkling in the cool nighttime air. Kira cried as she grasped her brother's old baseball cap. "We need a sign," she muttered. Someone ignited a sparkler, and for a minute the flames danced like hope. When their mother, Donna, tossed a handful of rose petals into the air, the family divided. Some insisted on trusting the judicial system, while others warned of corruption and schemes. But in that circle of light, they promised to remain together whatever of the outcome. Back in the courthouse, Camron dropped in the hallway, exhaustion heavy in his bones, as a reporter approached the microphone. "Do you have any comment on the new spying revelations?" Cam shook his head slowly, tired of rumors. "I just want to erase my name and return to my life and music." The reporter's voice quivered as he continued. "Are you concerned that the feds will continue to dig?" Cam paused before straightening his shoulders. "I'm not afraid they'll discover nothing since I didn't do anything illegal." He turned and walked away, alone with the gray courthouse walls. The next morning, a leaked document from the prosecution's file surfaced online. A series of emails between Camron's publicist and a Jones insider outlining a launch party for a joint song they never issued. Conspiracy theorists pounced. Some believed the tune was code for a money drop, while others saw it as a failed marketing strategy. As the document circulated, each news outlet attempted to comprehend its meaning. Cam's phone rang continuously with updates. Fans texted dread, while pals dialed loyalty. Despite the chaos, Cam remained focused. He holed up in a remote studio with his core team, Chadakas Tome and Lindsay Cole, to collectively exhaust all alternatives, from total exoneration to a plea deal. Chadakas flung his fist against the table. "We cannot let them win. We need a public declaration with no games." "I'll set up a live stream cam to answer people immediately." Linz warned us to stick to truth since any mistakes may backfire. Cam inhaled slowly. I'll show them who I am. The plan came together, but the stakes had never been higher outside. The sun fell over Harlem, staining the sky orange with street paintings of Dipset logos and prior albums. Despite the chaos, a woman hurried while breakdancers whirled on cardboard squares, vendors hawked for kilometers, and the distant beat of late-night zephyrs pounded through passageways. Camron's whirled, and it seemed to be under siege at first. But as the lights of the city flickered on, a spirit of resistance filled the air, and the community that built Dipset as Chapter 2 came to a conclusion. A hush fell over the city's hip-hop pulse. Camron's live broadcast is about to be a few hours, and every camera is poised, every fan is on edge. The narrative may shift again, or it could strengthen the case for his innocence. The path from whispers to headlines has led them here, to the edge of truth or tragedy, and with those last gasps of expectancy, the stage is set for Chapter 3, when loyalties will be tested, secrets will be revealed, and Dipset's fate hangs by a thread. The live broadcast began with a faint buzz of expectation. Camron appeared on camera, sat against the backdrop of Heron Street art, his face firm but weary shadows under his eyes exposing the narrative of sleepless nights. He leaned forward, hands clasped, and addressed his audience directly, aware that stories had spread. Voice calm, I'm here to set the record straight. Hundreds of responses slid past in real time, words of support, disbelief, and questions flying faster than he could read behind the scenes. Jadakiss Tome walked off camera, checking his watch every few seconds to ensure there were no errors, while Lindsay Cole sat with the written transcript of critical parts. Cam's grandmother stayed at home, ready to intercede if necessary, watching an old and praying every time Cam took a breath. Hira watched from her bed, holding a pillow, tears in her eyes, went on to outline his alibi, including studio records, produced and timestamps. Video footage shows him recording songs around the alleged drug drop. He acknowledged the ambiguity around the warehouse footage and clarified that the discussion was for charity event logistics. He even showed the placard on video. This is real, he said softly, turning it so viewers could read the small print. Emotions ran high as fans penned, "We believe you," and supply them with proof in a surge of pixelated unity. Just when it seems Cam would sway public sentiment back in his favor, the screen flashed and a message appeared with breaking news. The live broadcast came to a standstill before transitioning to a split screen showing a live footage of the courtroom entrance. Reporters hovered. The camera focused on a tall guy wearing a hoodie and sunglasses as he got from a black submarine. The license plate matched that of the team. Stream palled. "What's that about?" he muttered, moving closer to the camera. The show returned to Cam, but the damage had been done. Social media exploded. Conspiracy theories and fresh claims. Gift. Exhibit 47 is categorized as phone call surveillance records. Cam and an unknown number of hours before the warehouse meeting, it seemed the prosecution was doubling down again. The live stream studio Cam took a deep breath. "We're not done," he remarked. "I'm going back to court tomorrow, and straight on." He signed, "Release further proof soon." When the feed ended, the screen went blank, but chatter continued as hashtags shifted from #FreeMaron to #Exhibit47B, igniting another flame of suspicion the next morning. Part 3. As this story progressed, the court reconvened with heightened intensity, and the prosecution called its next witness, an expert named Holly Yang, to testify about the phone records. In Exhibit 47 Bits, she explained how call metadata identified Cam's smartphone, pinged near the warehouse sites at exactly the intervals in question. The jurors leaned in to absorb every detail of Holly's. The explanation was correct frequency ranges. Cell tower timestamps modified to Cam's friends exchanged apprehensive glances as the courthouse closed. Sat behind him and said, "They're aiming to drown." Tone gripped Cam's shoulder in solidarity. Lindsay scanned the notes, her eyes narrowing, and raised her hand for a sidebar as Reed murmured past. Reed recognized they needed to question the techniques he requested since this presentation had the power to alter everything. Cross-examination was conducted outside of the news cars, which were lined up bumper to bumper, ready to pounce on any nearby mosque. Standing among the media, waiting prayer for justice, a group of rappers held a peaceful protest half a block away with signs reading "Justice for Camron" and "Truth will triumph." The air crackled. Everyone had chosen a side, but Siri remained. Reed began cross-examining the witness on justice, fame, and power in the courtroom. He questioned Holly about the reliability of phone pings, emphasizing instances when devices were forged, and challenged the assumption that only Cam's phone could have triggered the records. "Did you ensure the device SIM card belonged to Mr. Carter?" he questioned. Holly hesitated before explaining that she had relied on metadata. When the FIMB refused to provide raw SIM registration data, there was a collective gasp of surprise. The judge banged his gavel, but the uneasiness was suggests Jill Santana had a secret meeting with Agent Rachel, which he vowed to divulge. Dipset's internal processes in exchange for leniency on an unrelated matter. Some saw this as betrayal, while others seek social survival. The media loudly Jules said, ribs torn once more, this time by concerns about loyalty among their own amid the turmoil. And an unexpected testimony came from a warehouse clerk named Luis Rodriguez, who defense and detailed the day of the alleged drop-off in detail. A black sub come up, he stated, but the driver named Mears on a clipbook, then left Luis pointed of the sub's mirror, a partial plate that matches the one parked outside the courthouse. No one came out, he emphasized, and nothing was unloaded. The jurors observed intently, exchanging glances for the first time. The defense presented a precise eyewitness denial of the prosecution's claim, and Cam's relief was palpable. He exhaled, with shining eyes, Jadak his back as if to say, "We got this." But Lynn cautioned, "This is just one combat, not the whole war." She reminded them of the feds, realizing that there were still more exhibitions and that more surprises, recognizing that there were many rounds left in the competition. Cam strolled out onto the marble steps, accompanied by Reed and Jules, while court journalists clamored for him. Today, he cleaned his throat in front of cameras and microphones. The testimony demonstrated that they are willing to falsify facts to achieve their aim. He said emphatically that he is innocent and will continue to demonstrate it, as his remarks mirrored a plea from Cam Strong. Supporters shouted, but naysayers mumbled, "We'll see." The tale itself was about the contradiction between believing and doubt. As Act 3 concludes, the scale of this drama becomes clear. It is more than just a legal conflict. It is a battle for identity, history, and power in an image-driven business. Cam Jones' allies and opponents alike have staked their reputations on each fresh piece of evidence and testimony. As the stakes mount, sentiments vary and alliances shift. Every surprise threatens to change the narrative, as the hip-hop bated breath to learn which side of when the final ruling was delivered. The tension in the courtroom had hardly lessened. An anonymous envelope was sneaked to Camron's attorney with strict confidentiality. It featured a shaky audio excerpt supposedly recorded during Jim Jones' first arrest in a scratchy sound. A voice similar to Jones taunts someone off mic. "Cam, do you believe you are clean? We all have dirt on ourselves." The recording abruptly ends, leaving Tyrese wheeling in his chair, eyes wide, while hushed gasps rippled around the defense team. "This is going to spark everything," he muttered. Camron sank back, emotions raging. The potential of another round of accusations loomed beyond the street. Crowds formed around news trucks, responding like tinder to a fire, shouting both for and against Cam. Dipset, Reva campaign for justice for Jim. Jones is surrounded by a cacophony of devotion and distrust on social media. The audio clip hashtag Dipset Dilemma is rising quicker than any previous hashtag in the saga. Influencers joined in from improvised sets, with some backing Cam's innocence and others proclaiming him a step away from shame. The family the third time. Jataka stated. A cryptic tweet titled Simply Truth appeared. Jill Santana tweeted. In a dimly lit safe house, Agent Rachel Furrow listened closely to the audio, her brow creased. She constantly paused it to isolate background noises like a distant siren. Her friend Mark scowled as she repeated a passage where she believed another person had added softly. Meet me at the Browns. That could be a trap, Mark warned. If it's true, Rachel said, tapping her pen on her notes. Or it could be the key we need to connect Cam directly to Jones' network. The line. Lynn Sell Cam's investigator rushed over, blurring the boundary between evidence and manipulation even more. Hoping to find any evidence of the recording, she went to the off-the-book studio where Jim Lee recorded freestyles. She asked engineers and interns, and the majority reported intern saw Jones with a crude voice recorder late at night. When intended to film real street conversation, she described his voice trembling. Lentz pressed for more, but Lee said Jones never mentioned Cam by name, and I was concerned that Lee revealed nothing until I heard that audio. Lentz, with both hope and worry racing back at Cam's grandmother's brown sad vigil, 2 candles flickered against the towering paintings of the Harlem skyline. Elderly neighbors and Cam's family friends whispered prayers and shook their heads. This has gone too far, one neighbor said, his voice cracking. They are taking on a legacy. Donna, Pam's mother, clutched her grandson's child. Her tears stained the material. She was hesitant to go until she heard from Cam directly about his lateness. When the night call finally arrived, her relief was palpable, but it was Cam, his voice shaking. They've dug up fresh soil, ma. She could only respond, we'll hang on, sweetheart, in this maelstrom of competing music. Having identified potential, they released remixed versions of the audio sample, paired with rhythms that resemble. In Dipset's customary style, the tracks became viral overnight, quickly flooding streaming platforms and meme sites with listeners. Although the audio's reach was challenged, the clear Dipset brand, predicated on swagger and togetherness, was suddenly exploited. The opposing collective's anonymous producer gloated in a private chat, we got them just where we want them. The battlefield had spread beyond the core earphone and screen within a shadowy backroom of the downtown club. Janakas hosted a conference of close pals, Tone Tyree, handful of close friends, heavy with cigarette smoke, and the thrum of distant bass tobaccus leaned in. We can't keep playing defense forever. It's time to counter. Furthermore, he proposed creating a documentary-style DVD containing Cam's humanitarian work, childhood footage, on family members. Let the him, he said. Tyrese nodded as Tome drove away. His phone was already drafting interview questions. The approach gleamed of control in the midst of chaos. Yet even as they plotted, doubts lingered inside. In their own ranks, a stealthy word circulated that Jules Santana was under pressure. The authorities had secretly met with Agent Hughes to discuss a collaboration agreement. Confirmed it, but rumors in the streets showed Jules' dedication was weakening. A mysterious comment emerged on an obscure site, and loyalty's price merely went up. Chatakas questioned Jules on stage at a charity event, and the tension was palpable. Are you in this with us? Jules' response was assessed regardless of whether he gave the directive. I'm here for Cam, but I'll do whatever it takes to keep Titet alive. The uncertainty has increased. The distance between the control room seemed to be ghosts of earlier successes. He pressed record and began delivering an impassioned speech into the microphone, not for a song, but for a message. This isn't just about me. It's about the whole culture. It's about choosing truth over noise. His voice shook with passion as he recalled his career's highs and lows, the partnerships forged in adversity, and the pain of betrayal. He poured his soul into the tape, hoping it would counterbalance the auditory bombshell and reach hearts. As Part 4 concludes, the landscape of this predicament has changed once again for those who are still undecided. New evidence, both genuine and manufactured, has emerged. Dipset's kingdom is at a crossroads, with alliances strained and loyalties in question. One way leads to unity and vindication, disintegration and ruin. The next chapter promises to be even more explosive. Camron is preparing to release his documentary Counterstrike as the feds contemplate their next move. The stakes have never been greater, as the world waits for the key moment that would define Harlem's most legendary rap group. The days that followed were a flurry of urgency and purpose. Ron and his crew debuted their documentary Counterstrike, a report that traces his experience from local ciphers to worldwide platforms, depicting moments of struggle, victory, and obvious effect. The film revealed him giving away turkeys on Thanksgiving, teaching new rappers in community centers, and performing benefit concerts for families in need. Fans responded immediately, applauding the legitimacy. Others questioned its timing, and emotions ran whether this was damage control or a sincere request for understanding. The fam discreetly filed further petitions, and Agent Rachel Furrow obtained a warrant to examine Cam's social media ads for hidden patterns of communication linked to Jones' network. At the same time, the prosecution submitted Exhibit 63, which is a sequence of emails between Jones's lawyer and emails from a shell firm tied to Cam's clothing brand, mentioned shipments labeled as merch and more than gossip. He had pledged to assist in exchange for amnesty. His pulse pounded as he weighed loyalty against self-preservation. Jadakiss confronted him. Backstage before a sold-out show, voices sparkled with tension. "You have my back," Jadakiss reminded him, and Jewel's eyes twitched with sadness. "I'm trying to protect us all," he said ambiguously. Cam's grandmother turned on lights in each room she mentioned, keeping both hope and suspicion alive at home. To shelter her grandchild from the storm, his sister Kiera organized a social media flash mob in which fans sent childhood photographs of Cam with the hashtag. Remember Camron? The campaign trended globally for hours, exhibiting collective memory and momentarily shifting the narrative back to unity and nostalgia on the prosecution side. Holly Yang provided Exhibit 47 Bits Redux, a forensic investigation that proved that the information on the clothesline shipments matched the disputed time periods, and she detailed how the packing addresses corresponded to the warehouse where Jones' company was situated. Jurors exchanged stares as cameras captured snippets of their responses, dealing a blow to Cam's documentary narrative, presenting the videos and testimony. There may be distractions rather than exoneration in the defense war room. Lynn Cole discovered an inconsistency. The shell company's address was linked to as she proceeded to the judge's chambers with an affidavit and bank papers proving the site belonged to the rival, not Cam's corporation. The court analyzed the documents and decided to strike Exhibit 63, awaiting further investigation. The prosecution's lead attorney smacked his fist on the desk for his breath in Part 5. The storm has reached a fever pitch, with rising and falling relationships. Camron's apparent involvement in Jim Jones' case, as well as fraying and mending, are discussed. Unfolds like a, and the courtroom is on a terrific edge. Truth and falsehood compete for attention, loyalties are tested, reputations are harmed, and the legacy hangs in the balance. With each revelation, the story becomes more intense. The fight for Camron's name is richer, more nuanced, intriguing, and you've followed every twist. Tell us what you think about each leak file, every act of loyalty and betrayal. Next, do you believe Camron will clear his name once and for all, or has the damage been done? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and like this video if you're rooting for him. Subscribe and ring the bell to prevent missing Part 6 of this epic story, because anything may happen in this drama, and you single minute. Fresh off his blockbuster drug deal arrest, is behind bars, and now speculations are spreading that Camron Harm's own Pink Panther may be next under the scrutiny. Yes, Camron is under investigation. Fans are outraged and emotions are running high. Across social feeds when full-blown stories, Camron's name appears in sealed court docs, drops its empire, rock lawyer panic caught on. Could this be a case of guilt by association? Or something deeper? Those of Harlem's most iconic rap sources close to the Dipset inner circle believe federal officials are looking into old phone logs, bank information, even private text threads, all in search of the smoking gun family was split, why, and the fate of everyone related to the family. The conflict is real, the drama is strong, and one question stands out more than ever. Is Dipset experiencing its darkest hour? Hold on to your seats, for this story is only just beginning. The courtroom doors swung open again, and Camron walked inside with a heavy heart. With shadows of doubt looming over every step, he was accompanied by his attorney Marcus Reed, who seemed steely tired, according to sources. Cam spent the night reviewing evidence in preparation for a day that may define his legacy. As they approached the bench, cameras flashed in quick succession, but Cam refused to meet their gaze, focused on the shiny floor tiles, as if tracing a route to safety that may not exist inside the stuffy courtroom. The judge's gavel fell sounding like a distant warning, and the prosecution shifted to a fresh piece of video surveillance tape from a warehouse on the outskirts of town. In the grainy black and white footage, a man resembling Cam moved amid heaps of boxes, conversing in quiet tones with a known friend of Jim Jones. We have proof that on March 12th, Mr. Carter met with Mr. Jones as the lieutenant. They spoke about delivery logistics and profit allocation in a prosecutor-like tone, using Cam's real name. Jamal, Dipset's road manager, was in the room. With his heart racing, he had promised to preditation, but now he felt powerless. He checked his phone. Social media platforms were flooded with Cam-related drug ring news. Followers were. Earlier that morning, Jamal had put Dipset Till We Die, but now he considered deleting it. What if the songs they sang about commitment and brotherhood rang hollow? The family was divided, with some calling for an immediate public declaration and others suggesting silence until the truth was disclosed in a neighboring studio. Chedaukas paced like a caged lion, having rushed in from home for support only to be taken off surprise by the warehouse footage. "That's crap," he whispered as Tone, his producer, hand on his shoulder and added, "We'll get to the bottom of it." "Of this," Tone said, his voice trembling. Chedaukas nodded, but anxiety gnawed away at him. He remembers the great late-night cipher sessions in the basement, the scent of new ink on recording contracts, the unbreakable friendship formed in the face of adversity. Now those memories seem like smoke in the wind. Back at the courtroom door, a crowd of reporters and demonstrators erupted, with the group brandishing free camera placards facing off against a smaller, more angry throng, screaming, "No one is above the law." Chants filled the air as sirens rally. A young admirer exclaimed voice, "He's innocent, I promise it." Across the street, a spectator snapped a Dipset dead. Leaning against a brick wall, the combat zone rather than the birthplace of some of hip-hop's most iconic tunes. Emotions were strong, and each camera angle captured a different perspective on the action. Meanwhile, deep inside the Fairfield field office, agents sat around a conference table littered with paperwork, tracked phone conversations, bank transactions, and email headers, putting together what they hoped would be an airtight case. Rachel, a seasoned agent, referred to a ledger noting a series of cash transactions timed exactly with Jim Jones' shipments. 2 entries included Cam's initials and terrible handwriting, which was suspicious. She saw her coworker Mark grimace. "But we need..." Rachel agreed, tapping her pen on a moist subpoena for each transaction. Following his known patterns, the grind of paperwork and legal motions mirrored the tension building on the streets, and as the afternoon sunset, a new twist appeared. Cam's defense team message chain demonstrating that the initials were a coded reference to Curtis, a nickname for a childhood friend, rather than Cam, the prosecution's lead investigator. Agent Hughes scanned as he read the findings. The whole courtroom gasped, adjusting his spectacles to confirm what he had heard for a brief while. Cam seemed to have gotten a break, as the tension in his shoulders eased somewhat, only to be replaced with lingering dread. Would this be enough to clear his reputation, or just a temporary respite outside? Meanwhile, the rumor mill spun faster. Late-night talk shows latched on the text bomb show, speculating wildly about Cam's participation. One host blared, "Did Cam get away with it?" as another retorted, "Or is this just a diversion?" The fans fired. Back and forth online words of support combined with pleas for accountability formed the public square into a digital coliseum, with Cam at the center. All unfold from the sidelines, heart heavy with guilt that his name had ever featured in the same sentence as questionable dealings back home. Cam's family battled with the aftermath. His younger sister Kiara refused to leave her bedroom, eyes red from sobbing. Her mother Donna sewed together care packages for him, packed fresh lunches, and a handwritten message reminding him of the significance of family. "They can't steal your spirit," she wrote. "Remember who you are." She left her window open that morning, waiting for police sirens to indicate the in stark contrast. Jim Jones sat in his jail, chuckling at the news that Cam blasted throughout the media. He tapped his finger on the bars, amused. "Dipset's legacy stops with you, Cam," he mumbled to himself. Even behind bars, Jones wielded power, stirring the stew in his legal counsel. Don met with him behind a glass barrier, presenting his message bombshell. Jones laughed low and let them fight over crumbs, saying, "And when I am, I'll reclaim what is mine." His plan to weaken Cam and seize control of Dipset had been realized beyond his greatest fears. Meanwhile, Jules Santana remained a wild card. He had stayed out of the spotlight, but sources think he met with Cam discreetly one night, offering encouragement and insider information. "We'll weather it. Just tell the truth," Jules told him. Cam nodded graciously, but was weary. Their connection, built through shared, had never been more vital, but Jules' actions aroused attention. Others fear he was negotiating his position with federal authorities. Treachery lurked around every corner as people offered evidence in exchange for mercy. As night fell, the dazzling lights of Harlem's clubs and studios contrasted with the somber stories that dominated news feeds. Empire, once built on unity and pride, was now on the edge of collapse. Royalties were strained, rumors flew wild, and every new revelation appeared to be another blow to Camron. His battle was for more than just clearing his name. It was about defending a heritage. As he prepared to return to the courtroom the next morning, he knew he couldn't do it alone. The fate of Dipset and maybe his own part one concludes with Cam gravely staring at the courtroom ceiling, pledging to fight back. He grabs his lawyer's hand and murmurs, "I won't let them take everything from me." Of his commitment lingered in the groundwork for the following chapter that had only just begun. The moment Camron spoke those words, a new determination enveloped him like armor. He felt fear, but now ready to fight back. The courtroom door burst open once again, and Marcus "Smooth" Davis Smooth, a former Dipset roadie, was called as the next witness. He ran to the podium, eyes racing, sweat crackhead, and cleared his throat. "I delivered numerous stuff for Jim Jones," and his voice broke. "But I never saw Camron touch a single one." The prosecution said, "Mr. Davis, could you explain why your records show a drop-off near Camron's studio?" Smooth swallows. "I was doing my job. The drop-offs were by Jez, not by person." Murmurs rippled around the courtroom as Camron exhaled quietly, a sparkle of hope in his eyes. Outside the media circus, a live broadcast from a big hip-hop news channel cut to an anchor named Jade, who leaned toward the camera. Fans are incensed as Slick's confession creates more questions than answers. Is this evidence of a frame-up? Her co-host Trey nodded strongly. "We're witnessing strong feelings online, with #FreeNeon trending once." However, expectations for accountability are also increasing. As the show concluded, poured in. Some commended Slick's boldness, while others accused him of lying. Social media has become a war. Every fresh post fuels the flames of public opinion. Meanwhile, Camron's legal team seized onto Slit's evidence. Attorney Marcus Reed responded in a furious voice, "We have absolutely no evidence linking Mr. Carter to any unlawful group. All we have seen is rumor and speculation at best." He refers to a stack of studio timestamps, indicating that Camron was recording vocals for his new album at the specific hours in issue. "We have production, engineering, and timestamp files." Cam nodded, satisfaction running over his face. The courtroom hummed. Some jurors spoke among themselves, while others scrolled quickly. Later that day, Jules Santana slipped into court in a hooded jacket and spectacles that obscured his image. As he took the stand, the prosecution questioned him about his loyalties. "Santana, have you ever seen Camron engage in illicit activities?" Jules shifted uncomfortably after a long quiet. He said, "I've seen Cam involved in the music and art worlds, but never with anything unsavory. We grew up together, and he has always been more interested in culture than criminals." Fans outside yelled Jules' name as flashbolts burst, capturing Jules' defense. A private investigator for the defense, revealed a twist. She had discovered surveillance footage from a luxury dealership where Camron had met with the same gems before. The prosecution gasped as she showed the film of a lieutenant standing side by side, voices low, exchanging what seemed to be an envelope. Lindsay's tone was cool as she said, "Further investigation reveals that the parcel contained promotional brochures for an upcoming philanthropic event, not cash or contraband." She pulled out a legitimate flyer with charity branding and event dates. The prosecution sneered, but doubt had been restored. Meanwhile, deep within the Fez Mobile Command Center across the street, Special Agent Rachel Furrow reviewed a map of phone calls. She touched a spot between Cameron's phone and a well-known Jones Associates device that had pins within seconds of each other, kilometers away. "We can't ignore this," she said to her companion Mark. "If that wasn't intended," Mark scowled. "Phones can be tricked or swapped. I need indisputable proof tying the device to Cam." Rachel nodded with frustration on her face. The investigation had become a story of fact and fiction. Performed a simple prayer routine at her brownstone. Friends and relatives arrived, candles twinkling in the cool nighttime air. Kira cried as she grasped her brother's old baseball cap. "We need a sign," she muttered. Someone ignited a sparkler, and for a minute the flames danced like hope. When their mother, Donna, tossed a handful of rose petals into the air, the family divided. Some insisted on trusting the judicial system, while others warned of corruption and schemes. But in that circle of light, they promised to remain together whatever of the outcome. Back in the courthouse, Camron dropped in the hallway, exhaustion heavy in his bones, as a reporter approached the microphone. "Do you have any comments on the new spying revelations?" Cam shook his head slowly. "I'm tired of rumors. I just want to erase my name and return to my life and music." The reporter's voice quivered as he continued. "Are you concerned that the feds will continue to dig?" Cam paused before straightening his shoulders. "I'm not afraid they'll discover nothing since I didn't do anything illegal." He turned and walked away, a lone figure enveloped by the gray courthouse walls. The next morning, a leaked document from the prosecution's files surfaced online. A series of emails between Cameron's publicist and a Jones insider outlining a launch party for a joint song they never issued. Conspiracy theorists pounced. Some believed the tune was code for a money drop, while others saw it as a failed marketing strategy. As the document circulated, each news outlet attempted to comprehend its meaning.